Hey, I'm Sydney Grogan, and today we are going to discuss an article about teaching and evaluating young adult literature. This article defines young adult literature as literature targeted at a young adolescent audience. Now, when teachers begin choosing literature for their own classrooms, they often ask questions such as, would an adolescent choose this on their own? They also ask questions like, what kind of problems and issues could I pull from this book, and would adolescents find these issues relevant to them? Now you may be wondering, just who are these adolescents? Well, they're teenagers. Here in the US, we describe adolescents as people going through a stage of development that is on their way to adulthood. It is marked by physical and biological changes. This article discusses the familiar questions that teachers use all the time to discover which kind of literature they want to use in their classrooms. They're trying to find out if it has a restrictive framework about evaluating young adult literature and adolescents. It focuses mainly on how the preconceptions of an adolescent really does affect how people choose their literature for their classroom. This study is focused on three different questions. The first one is, what strategies did a group of pre-service teachers use for evaluating young adult literature? The second is, what choices in phrasing signal and support these strategies? The third is, how do young people position themselves among these strategies? The data collected for this study was taken from a Midwestern university in the US. This course was a face-to-face semester-long course that discovered the history of young adult literature. The students in this class had to post a paragraph length evaluation online and respond to at least 2 peers. The group also had discussions before class that were led by an instructor. The discussions were led by different questions that helped teachers think about their future students. The data that was analyzed was taken from transcripts of these participants in the study. These posts that they posted online were taken from 3 different books. The 3 different books were evaluated, and these books are the central goal for the course. The central goal is to explore complex portrayals of youth and how they fit into the world. Now, when the study was going on, 2 specific strategies were found that were seemed most commonly used by participants. The first one is the matching strategy, and the second is the salvaging. The matching strategy focuses on matching the needs of the student to matching the literature being used. It has 2 types of readings. The first one pertains to the nature of adolescence, and the second one pertains to the message of the story. Using the matching strategy, you must have a reduction of the student, meaning this hypothetical student must match the requirements to have the message of the book being used. Therefore, you have a reduction of the story to get the good messages. The matching strategy is great for bringing up new topics and new concepts in your classroom. Now, for instance, if you had a book and it's talked about bullying, then you could bring that up in your classroom and you could talk about how different students have different struggles and how you need to respect others. The matching strategy is targeted mainly towards normal adolescents. A normal adolescent is basically described as a white US citizen of European ancestry who is of middle class and who is able. The second strategy, in contrast to the matching strategy, the salvaging strategy emerges only when a text is deemed problematic for a student. Many times, the salvaging strategy is used for text that seems inappropriate or when students are deemed disengaged from the text. Salvaging can be done in 2 different ways. You can salvage a book by choosing it to have individual potential for independent reading. So this means that this child could read it on their own and get different benefits out of it. And another way you could salvage it is by using it in a literature circle. Basically, you salvage these books for instructional purposes, but they're not normally used as a teaching tool in the whole classroom. So, where do adolescents stand in all of these strategies? Well, they have three different positions. The first one is a monolithic one. This is when participants grouped all adolescents as one group, having similar qualities. Many times participants use the phrase, like all students, and then followed these sentence starters by statements that lumped them all together, giving them all one quality and just one group of people. The second position that adolescents hold is when participants of the study began to identify themselves as former adolescents. Participants started to use phrases like, when I was a teenager, and then would follow up with their own views of the world or issues that they had struggled with in the past. This gave adolescents the views of the teacher. So that means when a participant started to identify with an issue, that meant that all of the adolescents had the same issues. Now, the third position is when participants started to use adolescents as stand-ins for themselves. This basically means that participants began to view all adolescents as having the same responses to text. This study highlights the importance of questions. It considers and essentializes the student. The article argues for disrupting the use of the hypothetical student and instead argues for more discussion among teachers and students. The discussion is encouraged to be about authors and how they use storytelling to construct students.